Hello and welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning into the show today. So I want to revisit in a different light what we were talking about last week, which was what was going on with the energy on the planet. Because it's more than just the uprisings and the death of Charlie Kirk and the beheading in Dallas and all of the crazy things that are going on. There's that aspect, but there's a bigger piece to it. But the energy right now is really hard. It is dark and it feels inescapable. And you might not recognize it. You might not recognize that how you're feeling right now is a direct reflection of where the vibration on the planet is. But if you're feeling anxious, if you're having a hard time sleeping, if you can't get yourself up and motivated, if you're feeling apathetic, if you're feeling like your body is just weighed down to the earth and heavy and thick and deep, if you're feeling depressed, if you feel like you're in a dark place, if you want to go do something, but you don't know what that is, or if really you just want to hide, that is all ways that your body is expressing this vibration on the planet right now. And if you look around, your life is probably good. You have a place to live. You have food to eat. You have friends. There's not any big drama happening in your day to day, but you still are feeling this sense of unease and discomfort where you just can't really relax and you just can't really ground and don't understand how or why you're feeling this way. And again, it's because you're picking up the energy off the planet. And as human beings, we're designed to send, receive, and process the information from the world around us. We all act like tuning forks. And so if what I'm experiencing is anger or fear or dread, that is being projected out into the world. But it's the same if I'm feeling joy or happiness or contentment, that is being projected out into the world. And anyone around me is receiving that vibration from me. And like a tuning fork, if you hit a middle C tuning fork, every other middle C tuning fork is going to start vibrating in resonance with that tuning fork. And that's kind of what's going on right now, is that there are so many people that the dark side has been activated in, that it has set up this resonance wave that we're all being impacted by. And for a lot of us, me included, it's like we're on emotional overload, on sensory overload, where it's just challenging to process anything that's going on at all. We experienced, although it was way worse, a similar vibration during the COVID pandemic, during the early parts where, all you heard on the news or anywhere was, you're going to die. You're going to die. You're not going to have toilet paper and you're going to die. And the level of fear that was on the planet was overwhelming. And I remember checking in regularly going, I'm okay. Things are okay. I have toilet paper. I'm doing supplementation, and so even if I got COVID, I know that I am going to be okay. So why am I feeling so fearful? And it's because there were so many people on the planet that were in that energy. And today, during this period, we're also in this kind of overwhelming vibration of sadness, of apprehension, of discontent, of not really trusting what is going on around us, and just wanting deeper answers. And there are a lot of people who are talking about, we're in a battle for what, of light and dark. And I'm going to throw this in, and I'm going to kind of backtrack timeline wise. There have been a lot of people who have been moving through this evolutionary process. And as they move, and I'm going to say more to the light, more to the upper vibrations, they're finding themselves separating from other people. You have this group of friends, but you have one that's like a whiner or a complainer, or their energy just doesn't sit right with you anymore. And where before you were content hanging out with all of these people, and now it's like, well, maybe not so much. And I'm mentioning that because that's a sign that you're changing and you're evolving, and you're choosing not to participate in a vibration that is not harmonious to your own vibe. And so you might be finding that you're keeping to yourself, which on a lot of levels, it's kind of better to not be with them and deal with having your inner world be upset than participating and feeling uncomfortable and not at ease. So a lot of people have been asking me, so what do you do? What can I do right now? And, one of the things that we can do is just to acknowledge and accept that this is where things are right now, and surrender to the fact that we're just going to have to ride out this wave. Now, my hope is that this wave doesn't last for a year like it did in COVID, because that was too much. And again, I'm hoping it's not. For me, I have found that using my tools, grounding, tapping, doing those things, I don't want to say they're not working, but it's been challenging to even want to put my energy there and do them. Like, I feel really apprehensive. I'm just not feeling it. How's that? I'm just not feeling it. But one thing that has come to me very clear is one way of helping to shift this is to pray. Okay, so I have to caveat this here. I am not a praying person. I'm not a Christian. Even though I was brought up Catholic, I don't do that. However, there really is a healing power of prayer. And even if you can't sit there and get yourself grounded, we can all sit there and meditate and contemplate a higher vibration and a prayer. And so I was talking about this on a show yesterday, actually, and the co-host shared this prayer, and I thought it was actually pretty appropriate, so I'm going to share it with you. And it is, and I got to move this stuff out of my way, Ephesians 6:10-18. And this is from, this version is the New International Version. And it's the armor of God. And so maybe take a moment as we're going and close your eyes and just own this energy, feel this energy, allow it to fill you to send out a new, higher, and more positive vibration. And so it says, finally, be strong in the Lord and his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of spirit, which is the word of God. And pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. You know, and I found that this seemed fitting because that concept, that idea of, you know, we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of dark, and the world of dark in the world, and against the spiritual forces of evil. That is what it feels like we're fighting against, because we don't really even know. We don't really even know. But there is just so much going on in the background that we're not really privy to. You know, and even if you sit there and are like a hardcore conspiracy theorist, which, you know, I kind of put myself in that category, there's just way too much information, way too many opinions to sort out what is true. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that people want truth. People want honesty. People want transparency. And even when they're saying we're being transparent, there's still questions about, is that true? So, okay. So we can pray. But there's one other thing. If we sit there and talk about the law of attraction, so the law of attraction says whatever we put out there, that's what we're going to return into our space. So if we're putting out dark energy and heavy energy and fear, that is what we are co-creating in this world. And when we hit periods like this, I'm going to say this a different way. It is said that when we see evil, when we see things we don't want, it can help us identify the things that we do want. You know, so for example, obviously there are things that we want, you know, and we know what we want, but sometimes there are deeper things that we don't really even think about. But as we sit there and look at what's going on in the world today, it becomes easier to say, I want peace. I want harmony. I want this fighting to stop. I want us to be a unified people. I want there to be love and happiness and appreciation happening in the world. But you can't necessarily identify you want those things until you can see this other side of what you don't want. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want that. You know, they talk about the murders in Chicago and the lawlessness and the school shootings and all of this stuff. I don't want that. And is that what we really want as a society? Is to go down that path and go down that road and have that be our reality? And right at this point, we're giving the opportunity to look at it and choose, I don't want this. And I don't know about you, but I don't want this. And the other thing tied to the law of attraction is like, what image are you putting out there? And so if you are buying into all of this stuff, then you're not buying into a future and a reality that is a higher vibration. You're allowing that negativity to kind of control what you see moving forward. And again, making it so it brings it more into reality. So my hope is that, we can hold a positive place. I know that during the COVID era, during that really rough period, it was my goal to just breathe. I didn't really have expectations about I need to do all of these things, create these things, be this, nothing. My goal was just to breathe. And so I'm just saying to you, don't beat yourself up. This is a rough period, and just breathe, hold energy, keep your vibration as high as you possibly can. Even if it's dark and it's heavy, know that that's not you. It's you keeping a vibration as high as you can in amongst all of this darkness. And of course, breathe. Okay, that was a heavy one, huh? So if you're being challenged by what's going on right now, you need somebody to talk to, you need an ear to bounce this off of. You need to help in understanding where your energy is and what you can do to shift it. Please reach out to me at my website, soulhealer.com, and set up a time for a private consultation. I would love to talk to you. This show is also brought to you by the, that is not even like the one that I pushed. There we go. By the Institute of Applied Energetics. That's appliedenergeticsinstitute.com. So if you have ever thought about becoming a medical intuitive counselor, or certified energy medicine practitioner, you can learn from the comfort of your own home how to work with these energies and become more in tune with your own energetic dynamic, and how to sit there and access it for other people. If you are listening to this show in a rewind, all right, hang on, I'm getting this going. There we go. In a rerun format, and you want to join the chat and get a free on-air psychic reading, please go to my YouTube channel. That is the easiest way to access the chat room. And my channel is Just Energy Radio. That's 3 words, Just Energy Radio on YouTube, 7 p.m. every Thursday night. And I would love to see you here. And lastly, please go to my different social media accounts, YouTube, Substack, Twitter, and Rumble. And like, subscribe, sign up. I've been posting a lot on Substack. And so if you would like to follow my work, and Substack is free, I would suggest that you go there. And you can also go there once you subscribe to my Substack. You also get reminders of upcoming shows, upcoming Just Energy Radio shows, or anything else that might be going on in my life. So there's that. Okay. Whew. Okay, so I know that there are a lot of comments, and I would love to hear if, how this energy is affecting you also at this point in time. You know that I love to get feedback on stuff like this, because I have come to realize that it's not just me. And I felt like tonight's show really was a public service announcement, so that you can be okay with yourself, because we all struggle. We all struggle with our own energy, and, it's just hard. It's just hard. Okay. All right, so let me get these cards shuffled up real quick, and we will get the party started. Okay, so first one up is Unar, and she says, hey there, Dr. Rita, happy to be here. How about a number 1 tonight? You sure can, Unar. Okay. And that's your card for today. Kind of sounds like what I was talking about. So Unar, I'm just looking at that picture makes me think that you have really been affected by this energy. They are suggesting to me to suggest to you to in order to help you balance and navigate what's going on, for you to do something that's creative, something that is more action oriented, so whether you paint or draw or color, that would be one activity. I know for me, I have been a writing fool. Um, one of the dynamics that is coming out of this is really about people expressing themselves in one way or the other, so when we use our creative gifts, whether that's writing or doing some kind of art or rearranging a closet, all of those things are creative, and they're an expression of what's going on inside. And I feel like for you, Unar, there's a part of you that wants to express what's going on inside, not just sit and meditate, but actually have some kind of movement and dynamic tied to it. Okay? Well, that was pretty good. All right, Yvonne. Hey, Yvonne. And then she says, can I get a reading number 3? You sure can, Yvonne. Okay, that's your card for today. All right. So Yvonne, I get the impression that you're feeling the energy too. I feel like you have kind of a different attitude toward it, where it's kind of like F you, and you are just moving forward and doing your thing. And you know how sometimes you go and you go to work or whatever, and you have a little headache, or you're just not feeling really good, but you go and you work, you do your thing, and you just make stuff happen. And I feel like that's kind of where you are right now. It's like you're not feeling really good, but you're not allowing it to run you down or take you down. And I feel like if you submitted to it, then it could, and you're not in agreement. That is not what you want. Cool. Good job. All right. And Christine is here. Hi, Christine. She says, may I have a reading number 2, please? And thank you. You sure can. We're going to put that bad boy on the bottom. All right, I want some positive cards. All right, you got a positive card, hopefully. All right, Christine. Christine, I get the impression, the first thing that I thought of when I saw this was that whole armor of God thing. And I kind of feel like you have put that on. I feel like you have been doing a really good job at protecting and maintaining your space. I feel like for you that you made the decision that, and this is good. Thank you very much for sharing this with me so that I can maybe adopt this, because it's been really kind of rough. I feel like for you that you have kind of put up this protection in your auric field where you can be your own little bubble of light and not be affected by what's going on around you. That's what I got. I'm sitting here going, okay, let's do that. And it's like, oh man, I got too much funk. But I'm going to remember that. So thank you, Christine, for the hello on that. You're doing a good job. All right, Don. Hey, Don. And he says, good evening, Dr. Rita. I'm here. Hope you're in good spirits. Could I have a number 1? You sure can. And then he says, hi to everyone. Hi, Don. All right, interesting. And that's your card today, Don. Okay. So, Don, it's interesting. You just keep changing and moving and shifting. So, this kind of dark, heavy energy has actually been really good for you. Um, and I'm saying that in this way. I feel like you have been used to being in that vibration, and you have chosen, I don't want this. I don't want this in my space. And so I feel like you have been spending more time nurturing yourself. I feel like you have been spending more time uh, accepting the vibration and not necessarily taking it on. Um, And it's interesting because even though this energy is heavy and you're feeling it and experiencing it, this is going to sound terrible, Don, but you know I love you. Um, you have been in darker places than where you are right now, and I do feel like you recognize that things aren't really right, but you're okay with it because it's still better than where it was. Okay. And you guys, as always, please let me know if these readings are resonating with you, because especially in times like this, it makes me more concerned because of where my energy is and what I'm reflecting back to you. Okay, Karen's here and she would like a number 2, and you sure can, Karen. All right, and that's your card for today. So, Karen, I get the impression that there's a decision that you're supposed to be making. I also get the impression that when you look ahead or feel ahead, nothing really is seeming real good to you. Um, I get the impression that there's some concern on your part. Am I walking from the frying pan into the fire? Um, I get a very strong impression that what you're looking for is freedom. What you're looking for is a higher vibrating energy. I feel like you want to just cast off this, I'm going to say, coat, this layer of you, and move into this new vibration. Um, I feel like you're really ready for it. It concerns me, okay? And I'm not sure if this is me speaking from a little bias, but it concerns me about with you making a decision like right in this moment until this energy kind of subsides a little bit, because it's still really strong. Um, and so if this is something that you could defer for another week or so, that would be great. That would be great. All right. And we have Miss Amy. Hi, Amy. And she says, hi, Dr. Rita. Happy Thursday. May I have a number 2 reading, please? Thank you. You sure can, Amy. Okay. Miss Amy, what do you got? All right. And that's your card for today. So, Amy, your energy actually is looking really good today. I feel like Okay. You know, Amy, your guides curse a lot. They curse a lot. Um, but what they're saying is like you're just really tired of this shit, and you are just going to do your thing, irregardless of what anybody else is doing, saying, being, having, creating, etc. Um, yeah, I feel like you have where your vibration is that you brought it up and it is emanating out, and you are owning that space. And so good job. Because you're just being you, and we can't ask for anything more than just being ourselves. Okay, so Roman Empire 98. One, I don't predict the future. So there are two things that I don't do. I don't predict the future, and I don't talk to dead people. But if you would like a reading, you can put a number between 1 and 3, and that's how many times I'll shuffle the cards on your behalf and give you insights into what the cards have to say. Okay, and Ricky says, good evening, Dr. Rita. Thank you so much. You look absolutely stunning. Thank you. May I have a number 2, please? Thank you. You sure can. You know, there are 5 of those mask cards in this whole deck, and I find it interesting how often they end up on the bottom, which is okay with me because they all could end up on the bottom. But, unless it's right there in the pick. Okay, Ricky. Okay, so Ricky, even though you had good cards come up, and then there was another one of these, I feel like this is the card that is clearing your energy. So that's what I'm going to read. And you had 2. Okay. All right. So Ricky. So Ricky, what they're suggesting to me is that you put your nose to the grindstone, that you sit there and use your energy to focus on achieving something. I feel like for you, when you are working, and it doesn't really matter what you're working on, but when you are actively involved in something, that it is a very meditative place for you, a very meditative thing for you. And I feel like that's when you are better able to tap into your inner wisdom. And I'm just wondering, since this is kind of a one-sided conversation, if you have been hitting some procrastination kind of energy. And if you have, then they're suggesting that it's time for you to get up and get moving. And again, focusing, because that will keep you moving forward and in line. Okay. Pierre, hey. Okay, and so Pierre says, we are like antenna. And so he is referring to how I talked about how we send, receive, and process information around the world. And Pierre, I'm going to add a little piece. We are like antenna, where we send that information out, but we're also like our TV set that receives the information and then puts it up on the screen for us to see. And so built into us, we have a broadcast network as well as the reception equipment. But yes, very much so. But hey, dude. And Joyce says, I finally got you on here. Yay, Joyce. So if you would like a reading, give me a number between 1 and 3, and I'll pull a card for you. And then Don says, that's how I'm feeling all, Dr. Rita. This world is just too much. But Don, you actually are holding your own, and I'm very proud of you for that. Now, Pierre says most people never write down what they really want. They're able to scare that this might happen too fast. Yeah, true, totally true. And then Pierre says number one. And number one from Pierre. Let's see what you get, Pierre. Okay, you got a mass card. Okay. Oh, all right. So that's the card that has come up for you. And then the next card with another mass card, which I'm going to bury in the deck right now. But Pierre, I get the impression that there is something that has been sitting in the background, your background, that you have been a bit hesitant in moving forward. And I feel like it has to do with your creativity, your ability to use your voice, your ability to stand up and hold your vibration up. That didn't come out very good. But to have your vibration be heard, to have your voice heard, I mean, I feel like there's been a piece of you that's been a little bit hesitant or a little bit afraid to do that. But I feel like you've internally made that decision, and not that you necessarily own it or know it on a conscious level, because I feel like this is just very recent. You have done it, and now it's just more a matter of it to unfold in your body and unfold in your life. So it'll be interesting to see where this moves. And not that you need to give me an answer today, but I hope you will remember this. And, in a few weeks, a couple of months, share with me what that shift was. Cool. Okay. And then Yvonne says, it's a very wacky time. Yes, it is. Unar says, I say breathe. Sometimes it's hard to breathe with all of this going on. I agree. And then Roman says, right now, I notice a lot of family tension around me. And it's everyone, so, and actually, Roman Empire 98, you bring up a very good point. And so if you're in a relationship, if you have kids, if you're dealing with, your parents or your friends, everybody needs to cut each other slack, because we are all under tension. We are all under stress. And so it becomes easier to kind of lose it. Because, and they might lose it. And so if people aren't holding it together, if they're not as advanced as the people that tune into Thursday Night Live with Dr. Rita Louise, if they're not that advanced and they're not able to emotionally regulate very well, then they might be flipping out and reacting to things that they maybe normally would not react to, or are reacting in a more intense way. And so there's what's going on inside of us, but you also have to recognize this same thing is going on inside of everybody else. And so we need to cut each other some slack during this period of time. Christine says, this energy is wild and exhausting. No kidding. And Karen says, thank you for the topic. You're helping me make sense of how I've been feeling. Just breathe. Exactly the message I needed. You are so welcome, Karen. I know for me, I have just been kind of trying to keep myself busy. Again, I've been a writing fool. And the other thing is, I'm a busy person. I like to be busy. But the other part is really about nurturing yourself. And so if you're tired, rest. If you're hungry, eat. If you don't want to talk to somebody, don't talk to somebody, and do the things that are going to take care of you first. Okay. And then Drusilla says, family losses multiplied in that last 2 months. I would like a 1 tonight. You sure can, Drusilla. All right. Interesting. And that's your card. So Drusilla, I'm just going to say what I'm getting, but I get the impression that, you know, you tend to have pretty good clarity on what's going on, and you see like, well, we need to do this, whatever. But I feel like nobody listens to you, and they find joy in the drama. I feel like what's going on for you and with you and around you could have been resolved much sooner and much quicker. But there are other people that are invested in having it take a long time. And if it was totally up to you and you could just control the situation, it would have been a done deal. And I feel like it's the drama and it's taking forever and just freaking make a decision so we can move on is the part that's making you the most crazy. Good luck with that, family. Ugh. And then Amy says, I just bought a rowing machine so I can move my body without leaving my home. I love rowing. I row 3 days a week for like 2,700 meters, which is about 20 minutes. I love it, love it, love it. Yvonne said, right on, cool. Unar says, as an artist, I'm trying to break out of being stagnant. It's been way for a while now. It's frustrating me. I still sit at my drafting table and doodle with my markers. So Unar, if there are mediums that you have traditionally worked with, but you're hitting writer's block, as they say, then pick something else, do something else, get finger paints, get watercolors, try doing something that is outside of your regular box. You know, so for me, I mean, obviously, since I write so much, you know, I'm always on my computer, researching, writing, editing, blah, blah, blah. But there are times when I'm trying to write about a topic and I just sit there. And what I have found for me is that if I'm stuck, I get my notebook, you know, and I start writing down the material almost in a journaling type fashion, and it'll just start flowing. And sometimes I do that and I get like a page or two written, and I'm able to type that up, and the energy has shifted and I can get back into flow with what I'm doing. So maybe try doing something else, you know, maybe doing some ceramics or some other thing that is outside of what you traditionally would do to create what's going on, you know, your stuff. Narcy, hi Narcy, and welcome from Marshall. It's so nice seeing you here. I miss you, girl. We need to go out. Okay, and then Yvonne says, Unar. Okay. All right, and Christine says, you're welcome. Reading definitely on point as always. Excellent. Thank you, Christine. ERRT Radio, it is so good to see you. And he says, hi, Dr. Rita. Great hair tonight. I am late, but can I please get a reading number 3? You sure can, ERRT Radio. It's so nice to see that you're here again. Oh, ugh. All right, card, do your thing. All right, that's your card for today. Okay, so ERRT Radio, I want to say first that I'm really glad that you got your major life transitions, the big stuff, done prior to this energy dynamic that we're in now, because it would have been undoable during this period. I would like to suggest that you listen to the beginning of the show, because I think that will really help you. You know, and what I'm seeing for you right now, which is why I'm suggesting listening to the beginning of the show, is that your energy is just feeling a little bit ungrounded. And I feel like you're not quite understanding that, but it is the dynamic on the planet right now. And to be honest, with everything going on, I feel like you're holding and maintaining your energy pretty freaking good. So again, listen to the beginning of the show, you know, because it will make what I just said now make more sense. All right. ERT Radio says, I don't think I'll ever get used to this time zone in Arizona. Hey, Sandra, nice seeing you. And she would like a number 3. You sure can. All right. That's your card. Okay. So, Sandra, I get the impression that you have gone through, I'm going to say a period of adjustment. I am sensing that in the past, and I don't mean far distant past, but fairly recent past, last few months, within the last 6 months, that there was a big transition for you. I'm sensing a lot of sadness that was around you. I feel like you've been doing a lot of work on processing that. And I feel like you have gotten to the point that you're ready to break through that and open yourself up to this new adventure, this new you. You know, I feel like there's a little hesitation and trepidation about that. But I feel like you feel like it is all going to be a good thing. I feel like the biggest part is that you're really ready to leave what happened behind and start this new journey forward. So, see, now I'm nosy and want to know what that is. Okay. All right, Roman Empire 98. Oh, I'd like a number 2, please. You sure can, Roman Empire 98. Okay, and that's your card for today. And again, if these readings are making sense to you or resonating with you, I would love to get the feedback. You know, also, if you want, you know, you can leave me a little something in the tip jar by going to soulhealer.com/live. That's soulhealer.com/live. And leave me a little something. There's a link for doing a PayPal thing, as well as your ability to use your credit card. So that's soulhealer.com/live. Sorry about that, Roman Empire 98, but here's your card. Okay, so Soul Healer 98, I'm feeling like there's some anxiety in your space right now. Okay, so I also get the impression that this isn't like a new feeling for you, but it's just kind of there. I feel like there are things that you want to have happen where you want them to move forward. And I feel like, you know, this is kind of a more of a life challenge for you. And you get to this place where there's just not enough time. and it needs to get done, and it almost gets kind of OC like vibration around it, where there is this constant rush to hurry and make it happen. And I would like to suggest to you to notice that and acknowledge that, because it's just creating anxiety in your space, and it's going to happen. Just because you take a 10-minute break doesn't mean that you're not going to go back to it and finish it. So perhaps you can breathe in there every so often. Perhaps you can slow it down on the inside a little bit. It will make life so much better and reduce again, anxiety that you're feeling inside, the stress that you're feeling inside about always having to get it done in 10 minutes. Unar says, I will try harder. Thank you, Dr. Rita. I look like the person buried in a cave on my card for now. Unar, you're not the only one. And again, for right now, it's not about trying harder. It's about accepting. It's about breathing, and it's about riding out this storm. It's going to change one way or the other to something else. This week isn't as bad as it was last week. I'm a little surprised that it has been so residual in nature, which is why I brought it up again. And I had some other new information that I wanted to kind of tie to that. But yeah, just nurture. Hi, Jess Knox. Hi there, Dr. Rita. May I please have a number 3? You sure can. And Jess, I think you're a new name here, a new person here. So welcome to Thursday Night Live. I'm Dr. Rita Louise. Thank you for tuning in. And you sure can have a number 3. All right. And that's your card for today. So Jess, when I sit there and I look at your space, I feel like you feel that that I might be really overgeneralizing this here, but everything is kind of a crapshoot. Everything is a gamble. I feel like you are hesitant to move forward with things, with your life, unless there is a certain level of safety and security tied to it. I get the impression that there has been a history that you come to today with that has caused you not to trust, so do but verify. You have that kind of energy. I'm like, okay, so why are you showing me this? I feel like this is something that you would like to change. I don't feel like it's going to change today. Maybe they wanted me to bring it up so that you could look at or notice that aspect of your personality that really just doesn't trust. So that you can begin the process of changing that and changing yourself into a better person and having things be more open and more free for you to express yourself in the world. All right, where are we? Because we're getting close to that time. Then Ricky says, thanks for procrastinating, energy spot on. Well, good. And then okay. And then Amy says, funny, my guy curse a lot. Yep, for being a fountain and avoiding the drains. Good job. Drusilla says, thanks for the clarification. I do feel that no one is listening, moving forward out of the drama and putting me first. Good job. Unar says, great advice tonight. Amy says, I've heard we choose to be here now. What the heck could we have been thinking? I say the exact same thing. We must have been way stronger than we realize. Yeah, I got nothing. Marco. But you know, you're supposed to come like earlier than 2 minutes before the show ends. And then ERT Radio says, thank you, Dr. Rita. I think I made the right choice and at the right time. If I waited, it would be harder to do what I did. And that's why I brought it up, because I don't know that you would have been able to do it energetically, you know, or there would have been this big gap in time before you had been able to move forward. So you were listening and you got it done. Okay. And then Roman says, you're completely accurate. Thank you. You're welcome. Marco says, Rita, your hair is wild. I love it. Thank you. And then Jess says, thank you, Dr. Rita. You're so welcome. And then Marco says, I have a question. Is my house going to sell soon? Well, you know, Marco, I do work with a realtor and have had some very interesting thing. And Lady Spitfire, I am wrapping up. I'm answering Marco's question just because he has been a loyal fan for centuries and has never asked me a question. So I feel compelled. So Marco, this is what they're saying, and you're probably not going to like it, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I would consider taking it off the market for right now. I feel like it's going to be another 3 or 4 months before the real estate market is going to will start moving forward again. Hopefully, you know, what is going on right now is not helping anything. And actually, Marco, there's some suggestions that I would like to make regarding your house. There are some energetic things that you can do for your house. I noticed that there's some very heavy energy sitting in the middle. There's some energy in the house in general, you know, like it's not bright and it's not, I'm going to say, uplifting and inviting. It just has a heavy feel. And so, reach out to me and let's visit and I will help you with that. Okay. I mean, it's just really simple fixes that you can do that will kind of shift it. And then Amy says, great show tonight. Thank you. Heading to the tip jar. Thank you, Amy. You know, so like Amy, if you would like to leave me a little something, go to the tip jar at soulhealer.com/live. And leave me a little something. Buy me a cup of coffee. I mean, it's all so easy. And now Marco is like mind melding with me. But Marco, seriously, reach out to me. And now we have Sunrise Jesus. So Sunrise Jesus, I am on the way out the door. Thank you for coming. I hope you come next week, 7 p.m. Central here on Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Anyway, guys, time's up. Show's over. Don't forget I will see you all here next week. And I'm Dr. Rita Louise. This is Thursday Night Live. Till then, be blessed.